big day today, real big. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. I mean, probably like 3 months, but still, it's a big day. And today, we're putting the giant plastic cover on our high tunnel. But to get started, we need a few things. We need our wiggle wire. Got this right here. We also need our channel locks. We need some other stuff. So I got to start loading it into the tractor bucket and bring it up to the tunnel where our plastic is. We got to unfold the plastic. We got to tie some, we need ropes. We need ropes. We got to put the ropes. There they are, some rope. And we got to have something to tie the plastic to the rope. And we got to pull that mess over. I've called in a few reinforcements. Hey Bella, hey Bella, how are you? How are you this morning? You don't like the camera. No, it's a weird camera. She's excited too. All right, so, okay, I've called in reinforcements also. So we've got to have a few people. You need quite a few people to do this. You got to have people. You got to have at least 4 people on each side, or on one side, pulling the plastic over, plus some people making sure that the plastic doesn't get caught. But I'll show you what all that looks like here in just a minute. I'm gonna start loading stuff up. Got to always make sure you got your kohlrabi when you're doing this. One of the most important things for putting up high tunnel plastic is kohlrabi. All right, we got these 2 tunnels behind me here, and the idea basically is, as you can see, there's no covering on top of them. Well, we've got to put the covering on top of them. We took the covering off because of the hurricane, the hurricane season we just had. The plastic's sitting over there. It's kind of nice and folded up, so we're gonna have to unfold the plastic, get it all lined up on the side, tie some ropes to it, and then in sync, kind of pull it over top. People are gonna have to hold it while we use the wiggle wire and the channel to anchor the plastic in place, all before the wind picks up. Now this is pretty perfect. There's not a whole lot of wind. There's a little breeze, but nothing like, I mean, if you do this where there's a lot of wind, you basically have a death wish, because it's like that. Imagine that giant piece of plastic and wind. It's like a big sail. You know, there's no way you're gonna put that on there. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's gonna go well today. It feels good. It feels like a good plastic covering day. All right, so the trick here, I've got to get this piece of wood attached to this string all the way across this tunnel to that guy over there. James is coming. It's probably gonna come like right there, and I have no guarantees it's actually gonna work. Ready? That was the best throw in my whole career. Okay, number 2. Once we get this unfolded, we take this and we get our kohlrabi, remember that, and we'll tie it around, and then basically the kohlrabi is what's going to fasten the rope to the plastic. Take the kohlrabi and you put it right here, and you take the rope and you tie it around the kohlrabi. So now you can pull the plastic. You don't actually need kohlrabi. You can use a tennis ball or a golf ball, but kohlrabi is what we have. All right, I was totally not expecting this, but the plastic has shrunk. So we took this off in the warm weather and we're putting it up while it's cold. And I don't think this is gonna work very well. So we're gonna use this plastic for the smaller, shorter tunnel. I know we're not gonna be able to do that either. I'm trying to think about this. Not good, not good. All right, so that did not turn out nearly how I hoped it would. I think it's gonna go well. Today it feels good. It feels like a good plastic covering day. But learned a valuable lesson. Don't assume that your high tunnel plastic is gonna fit when you took it off in the warm weather and now it's the cold weather. Better to put it up immediately. The other thing too is that plastic's really old. It's got some tears in it and stuff. So I'm just gonna have to order a new one, a new piece, and put it up. The good thing also is that I've got at least a couple weeks before I really have to start planting stuff in there that's sensitive to the cold. So we'll get it done. It's part of it. What we're doing with these microgreens is we've got to take our clean, sanitized trays, we lay them out. We're gonna make our potting soil available, really easily accessible. Then we're going to start filling the trays one by one, just to a certain amount. We don't want to overuse potting soil. We don't want to underuse it because it's going to provide a little bit of nutrition for our microgreens, but not a whole lot. And we don't need it to hold that much water because they're not going to stay in the trays for that long. And at that point, we're going to start measuring out a little bit amount of seed that goes per tray. We're going to dump it in the tray. We're either going to scatter it on top for our kind of mini garden microgreen mix, or we're going to kind of pour and spread it for our sunflowers and our peas. So we only grow 3 kinds of microgreens. Well, I guess kind of 4. We've got the mini garden micro mix right here, which is just a nice actual true microgreen mixture of kale, collards, broccoli, cauliflower, and kohlrabi. We've got some radishes behind that, adds a nice color to that. We do sunflower shoots and we also do pea shoots right there at the very end. And those are really the three kind of easiest microgreens to grow. Microgreens aren't something that we really they're not really like a flagship item for our farm. They do supplement really, really well, but during the summertime, we got all kinds of other things to worry about. Microgreens are really a lot tougher to grow because of the sanitation issue. They grow fungus and mold a lot quicker in the heat, and so we don't really have a climate controlled space, and that's why we don't really grow microgreens in the summertime. We just kind of leave that to the winter time when the humidity's not so high, the temperature's not so high, and we don't have as much stuff to grow. After we've sowed our seeds onto the soil, it's important that we water them in real good. We're gonna stack them so that we maintain that humidity and that moisture so that the seeds can germinate all uniformly. And some of the seeds their roots need to have something on top of them, or the seeds need to have something on top of them, so as the roots are penetrating down into the soil, they have some resistance above them, mainly for the sunflowers and the peas. And so once we've stacked them, we're going to leave them for about 3 or 4 days until they've really germinated well, and then we will start unstacking them and growing them out. Is mid-February and it's onion planting time. Potatoes should go in not too long from now, maybe a couple weeks, but they're supposed to go right here behind me in this field. But it has been raining for like 6 days straight, and there's ponds in places there's not normally ponds. My roads are all soggy, and so one of the things that we do over here in this field, because it's got a little bit more weed pressure than our normal field, is that we use a plastic mulch, kind of like I got here on my strawberries. It's made these row covers super wet. The rain, that is. Anyway, we use plastic mulch, and we need to lay it behind me here, but the soil's so wet that the mulch layer, the soil will get clogged inside the mulch layer. It'll cram inside there, and the actual plastic mulch won't lay a nice clean bed. And so I'm going to try to get in here and disc it, which will kind of loft up the soil and try to make it a little more dry out a little quicker. But if it starts raining again, we're not going to be able to lay plastic. So I'm hoping that with the disking we can get some progress in drying the soil out, and then we can start laying some plastic. I don't need that many beds, at least for now. Right here next to my garlic, I can plant one bed of onions, and then I probably need 2 or 3 more beds to plant onions in, because we got the onions in the mail not too long ago, and they're in these little clusters. We have red onions and yellow onions, and they're in these little clusters. We have to thin them out to have just the biggest plants in there, because the little wispy tiny little onion plants, they won't really turn into big onions. So once we thin them out, and then we'll lay the plastic, punch the holes. Underneath the plastic mulch is our fertilizer. It's also our drip irrigation, and so once we plant these onions, the mulch will protect the soil from evaporating moisture too quickly. It'll also it'll warm the soil up a little bit, and it should make for a really great bed of onions, a really great crop. But the soil just needs to dang dry out first. Love the rain, don't get me wrong, but there's a time for everything, and now, in my opinion, is a time for no more rain. guys, so we did our first run. Since the soil's kind of wet in one section, it got kind of clumpy underneath the plastic layer, which ends up happening. So there's a perfect amount of moisture that you need in order to make laying plastic mulch like this successful. And we didn't quite have it today, but it's gonna keep raining. So we need to have something to plant these onions into, because we don't need them to keep on sitting in that cooler. So we've got a little open section over there on the other side of the garlic, and I got this section right here now. So it's not going to be everything we need, but I think it'll be enough. You can see behind me we have what's called a dibbler, and the dibbler is simply a way to correctly space something over and over and over and over again without having to measure it out with a ruler. So we've got this simple board with lag bolts in it where we want to put the onions on the bed. We poke the plastic, step on it, the bolts go into the soil, they leave a little hole. We put the onions in there, we secure the onions into the hole, and we move on. So we've got two varieties of onions. We got red, we've got yellow. We're not even close to halfway through with the reds. That tells me we're gonna need another bed to plant in, but it's gonna have to dry out a little bit, and I'm gonna have to get some more drip tape. So we're gonna plant what we can and plant more whenever we can.